Cyber warfare security provides solutions to real security problems. This video is the first part of a multi-part series in which we demonstrate how to lock a remote access VPN user into a particular VPN tunnel group. The scenario is as follows. We have a staff user and we have a contractor user. Each of these users belong to a separate group. We want to be able to keep the contractor from logging into the staff's group and accessing the server. The staff users want to be able to log on and access the server, but not be able to log on or not be able to access the router. Conversely, the contractor wants to be able to log on and manage the router, but not have access to the server or be able to log on to the staff's group. There are 5 ways in which this can be accomplished. The 5 ways that we have are group lock, radius, both using a Windows and Cisco Secure, LDAP with an attribute map, configuring group lock with dynamic access policy, and the final method is PKI with a certificate map. This video covers the group lock which is configured locally on the Cisco ASA. We start here with a factory defaulted Cisco ASA. There are 3 steps into configuring this. The first step is to provide basic connectivity. The next step is configuring a simple VPN, and the third step is configuring the group lock. Let's go through each one of these steps. On the first step, we're going to configure the interfaces. We're going to enable logging. We're going to allow ping to go through the firewall, and we are going to put in a default route. After this step, we should have connectivity. Let's verify that we do. From the ASA, we're able to ping the Windows 7 remote client, and we're able to ping the inside router and the inside server. This is the topology here. This is the remote VPN client, the ASA, the internal server, and the internal router. These are the respective IP addressing. Let's see if we can get to the Windows 7 remote access VPN from the router. And we are able to do that. The second step is to configure basic VPN. Let's go back to our ASA. We're going to allow split tunneling. Split tunneling is a standard access list that defines what internal resources that you want to be able to get to. So the internal resources here is the 192.168.4.0 network, which is this internal network. This next statement is the pool which the clients get an IP address from. The remote clients will get the IP address of 172.16.0.0/24. Let's enable VPN. We're going to enable web VPN on the outside. We're going to use this image. We're going to enable anyconnect, and we're going to use a drop-down menu on the Cisco client. We're going to configure 2 group policies. We're going to configure a staff group policy and a contractor group policy. Both group policies are allowing the anyconnect SSL client. They're allowing split tunneling, and they have their respective split tunneling access list. We're going to configure 2 tunnel groups, both a staff and a VPN tunnel group. These tunnel groups are named respectively Staff VPN Tunnel Group and Contractor VPN Tunnel Group, and the configuration is the same. We're going to use the addressing from the pool, which was defined up here. We're going to tie the tunnel group to the default group policy. Each one gets the separate group policy. And then under the Web VPN attributes, we're going to create an alias on the drop-down menu called Staff and Contractor so that they can pick their group. We're going to have two users. We're going to have a staff user and a contract user with their respective passwords. We're going to create an access list for the group, for the VPN filter, which is tied to the group policy. We're going to have a staff access list and a contractor access list. The staff access list reads that the remote user can only access the server. The contractor access list reads that the remote user can only access the router for management purposes. We're going to tie that VPN filter into their respective group policy. The staff group policy gets the staff ACL. They're only able to access the server. And the same is true for contractor. It gets the contractor ACL. It's only able to access the router as well. At this point, we should have a basic VPN connectivity, and let's give this a test and see where we are. Let's go to our Windows 7 machine. We have the anyconnect loaded. Let's make the connection. And again, this is the IP address of the ASA in our topology, .10. We'll ignore the warning about the certificate. The group contractor with the username contractor and the password of Cisco. We're going to log in. We should be able to access the router for management. And we are able to. And there's the correct IP address. But we should not be able to get to the server. And we're not able to. We are not able to access the server. Let's disconnect here. Now here is the problem that we're trying to solve. By default, out of the box, there is nothing to keep the contractor user from logging in to the staff's group and accessing their server. So we're going to keep the username the same, which is contractor. We're going to simply choose the staff group. We're going to give it a password. And it should log in and get the, now we're logged into that group. We should not be able to access the router, which we're not, but we should be able to access the server. And this is what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to prevent the contractor user from logging into the wrong group and accessing those resources. Let's just take a quick look at some of the config here. This is the IP address that it's assigned by the pool. That's correct. Let's take a look. There's the split tunneling. Anything going through the 4.0 is going to be encrypted and sent through the tunnel. The rest will be sent out to the internet. And the rest of this is pretty much self-explanatory. Let's take a look at the ASA. And here we have the contractor user logged in to the wrong group, to the wrong tunnel group as well. He's logged into the staff VPN and the staff group. Let's take a look at the access list. Here is the contractor ACL. There were 4 hits. the staff ACL, there were 3 hits. Let's take a look at the logging and see if there's any relevant logging messages. Okay. Oh, let's let that finish scrolling. There's quite a bit of detail in the log here. It'll take a minute for it to go through and scroll. Okay, this log message here ending in 041 says the tunnel group staff VPN with the group policy staff was logged on by the the contractor user. And this is again what we're trying to avoid. Let's clear the logging. And let's go back to our Windows 7 machine. Let's disconnect. Let's come back to our ASA. Okay, this final and third step is what keeps the users group locked into their correct tunnel groups, and the configuration is actually quite simple. It's a one-line config underneath the username. So if we take a look at the username here, there's some debug messages. If we take a look at the username here, the username staff with the attribute group locked into the tunnel group. The staff VPN is the name of the tunnel group, the respective tunnel groups. This is the staff VPN tunnel group, which calls the default policy, group policy of staff group policy, which calls the filter. But this group lock statement is what keeps the staff into the correct VPN tunnel group and the contractor into the correct VPN tunnel group. So now when we test, the contractor will only be able to log into the contractor group, the staff only into the staff, and let's give that a test. Back to our Windows 7, hit reconnect here. Let's move these windows around a little bit for some better visibility. Let's ignore the certificate message. So now I have the group staff, the username contractor, and let's try to log in. And the login has failed, and I did not mistype the password. It's just that the contractor is no longer able to log in to the staff group. Let's go back to our ASA. Let's turn this debug off. Let's take a look at the logging messages. And here, this log message ending in 040 reads that the staff group with the user contractor, that it's terminating the VPN connection from that tunnel group. And the reason why it is because this user is group locked to the contractor VPN. So the contractor who's group locked to the contractor VPN is unable to log into a different tunnel group, and the connection gets terminated. This is the step 1, the local group lock feature. Now, some of the drawbacks are this is not as scalable as some of the other features. If you have a company with several hundreds or thousand users, you're not going to enter those into the ASA when you already have them in another database, such as Active Directory or some other LDAP database. The second drawback, so this is only going to be used in smaller deployments. The next video will show how we are going to do this using a radius server, a Windows radius server, how we're going to group lock them into the correct tunnel group as well. If you have any questions or comments, you can visit us on our website and share with us any technical insights that you may have. We are Cyber Warfare Security.